part three of Jeremiah. Um, and I'll continue where I left off. As soon as I get it up and ready here. And all right, I left off right about here. I said that this looked like it could make it, but it didn't make the format. Um, let's see here. Maybe, this is no, this is not. This is nothing but just gibberish. Okay, now here comes some text here as I start water up. Um, the words that came to Jeremiah. Okay, now this is a prophecy, not being proclaimed. Um, not of Judah in Judah. These little changes, um, I guess I shouldn't be going over the little ones. Dwell to live place is kind of mentioned as the word here. Well, this place would be referenced that way, so that's not a big change. Um, uh, and this is this one is our creator showing about how deceptive the words are that they're using at this time and calling this place a temple, and it was never a temple. It's always been known as a house for meeting with him. Whereas practice, I got live in here, so to keep to the format, I didn't need this verse. You know, swear, like I went over the word bowing before, it's very important. That's why it has a capital letter. And change God to goddesses. I'm pretty much teaching you that's the answers, the correct answer, correct word. May you do all these. Sometimes it cracks me up when I see text that got maybe, might, and stuff like that. This is supposed to be our creator speaking, so he wouldn't be using a maybe or a might. Here I had to add this verse, having to remind them about what happened to Israel. So that was left out. I needed to insert that because they were talking about Israel. Here I'm changing his name to a title because he would be speaking. And here, this text here is coming out that whatever they done in Shiloh when Assyria took over, that's what he's referring to is going to happen again. There's no real text of that I know of, so it might come out under these formats, but not as under our Creator's format. Queen of Heaven and Ra, their Creator. This is just not needed. Now here's something that's weird that I wanted to show you. A lot of times I don't know if because it's starting a prophecy here and then it's saying YV said. So the thing here is um, I kept both of these around, but I don't know which one is actually going to be the true startfulness of these words. So, so that's what happened there. These dots represent that it has to come down here. So all this text needs to be trimmed out to get to this word here and how sacrifices you offer, sin offering. Where it's his fathers to priests. I guess that's when you read the text, you'll show that that's what they're talking about. Um, okay, I didn't think there was much here. Even the things that I'm taking out aren't. Um, they really aren't needed. They're just like added words to the text that have no real meaning when you find the format. And this one didn't continue with the format. Um, just stupid things being said. Yeah, cut off your hair. That's our creator pretty much made a law not to cut your hair off to be bald. Um, Now here I've only got 2 verses of a 4-verse format. Let's see if if it actually got all this stuff added, and it continues here. That's already been designated, so you can't have 2 of them in the same place. That's going to be in the prophecies later. Um, this is all going to be later, so it doesn't need to be put in here. This is just being set odd. And here you can see that uh, no format, so you can tell that this is all added. It's just not done correctly. Um, and that's what happens when they destroy the text. They can put anything they want, and they never thought these formats would be seen again. Yeah, the text, when you read it, it doesn't really have anything to do with actually prophecies of the destruction of Jerusalem. And that's what we're searching for here, or what happens when you start finding the formats. Um, as doomed as I don't, this is, I hope you've read a lot of the text that's already done and finished, and you can tell that when you're going over these. And that's kind of, I'm used to seeing text that just doesn't fit right or doesn't seem to be there. Um, he would not declare something like this, so it becomes obvious. Why he is not in Zion? Is her king not within her? Who is her king? Why are they talking about placing a female deity? Even they worked in true, truthful words. They didn't use a lot of the slang that we do today of describing what is like her, which, like, somebody will say Mother Nature. Well, then you don't believe our Creator made it. So you just got to watch your words and learn how to speak correctly and truthfully, so your words mean the same at all times throughout your life. Um, Mm. Now here it was easy enough to make into a format because you can see how I'm removing words, and yet the text will actually come out to mean something. Um, Sometimes you find this first, and then you'll have to go back, work forwards and below. Oh, I forgot to keep an ad because this verse is going to get taken out, but I just left it there because I was working, and sometimes it does connect. Um, when you read our Creator's prophecies and you go and look what they're trying to say, kind of like the same thing, only differently, that's what you kind of see and hear. Um, and so that's not needed. This here, I tried to find if there was a place for it and it didn't come out. So I removed that later, but just to let you know that sometimes when you do find them, they're still not correct. Yeah, because the rest of the pieces aren't there to put that into context. Give them poison water to drink. This is no, this is uh, our Creator doesn't say that type of thing. I mean, our least flow with water. Um, no, this is almost reading as if it was written after they had left. But I didn't find a lot of text hidden in here of exiles are writing, because usually there's great stories when things are happening to where they are um, meaningful subjects carried from one place to another in an order uh, that tells what had happened at that time. And a lot of times when you're reading these are just words stuck out there that, um, like our Creator declares, corpse of men will fall like dung. Our Creator doesn't need to say things like this. I mean, I got verses here where smoke comes out of his nostrils. I mean, you guys got to understand that the corruption of the text. But and you can see that some of this text, like this, they knew about the hidden format. Then you see and read stuff like this that they didn't know the format. So a lot of times you can see and tell who's adding what at different times and didn't know this. So when I say it happened over a 300-year time, a period of time before Jesus came, then it's um, you can start actually seeing things. But like I said, you got to kind of figure things out um, by saying reasonably this doesn't need to happen. Example here, these guys have been dead for 400 years. They were slaughtered. They were killed off. Men, women, children, animals, everything. And then Edom was actually Isaac or Jacob's brother. So, and Daniel or David went and made sure there was never a king in there after that time. They tried to, what did I say, act up like they're important, and he just cut them down. Then as part of paying, made them pay tribute. Um, Everybody on the other side of the Jordan River was acting up and working with the Armenians. Um, by the signs of heaven, there's no signs in heaven. You can't um, dictate anything by the stars. Although they try to. Now, something when I'm reading like this uh, could be very well true, what happened at that time, but it doesn't mean anything to the story, and it's here. I mean, I just can't use it, or don't want to use it, or it doesn't have the format. See, now our Creator is uttering a voice, and it's like a tumult of waters in the heavens. I have a video in the description just telling you about the three heavens. So you have to understand at that time how they thought of things. So it's a good study. Yeah, a lot of this is just not needed anymore. My tent is destroyed, and this is. Well, this is definitely almost would, when you see the end product, that pretty much they've just taken a couple verses and put them all together. But that's all going to be what is said in our Creator's prophecies. So at least you bring me up to nothing. I don't know about you. You devoured him and consumed him. Um, I don't know. I am just so used to. I do this so much. To me, it's kind of boring for me to through everything and tell you. I'm just the reasons why I'm getting rid of it, but hopefully you'll do your study of it and see that um, a lot of it's just not needed. I mean, when you find a story, you've got a story, and it goes for quite a while. Notice this. Um, Covenant is what I call a promise. Conspiracy, I've changed to the word evil because the way the word evil is used, iniquities to sin, ancestors to brothers, um, after and follow, pretty much same, descendants. Um, so, yeah, and here's where I use the word races for inhabitants because they're in there when they're in their city, the inhabitants of in Jerusalem. It's the different races of these so-called holy men have now descended into Jerusalem. Um, they didn't really, they had roads more than they had streets. Streets were particularly only inside the cities. And it's offerings. When you read this many of the text that's going to happen, you'll understand that this incense never happened. It was as their catchword. These offerings were how they killed things and then ate it as a meal. onto Ra, and that's since the time before Moses. So 3 verse, all of a sudden gone to a 4 verse. So that's how quickly the text can change when you're putting these together. Takes a bit of skill, I guess. Where I got right, I got command, beloved. Actually, are priests because they're in his house. This is going to be like this. So, beloved in my house, no. The only people that can be there are priests, so that word has to be there. Sacrificial is to offer up. It's not flesh, it's the muscles. Um, and what's funny is when you get a story, you'll see it's just chopped up and added a little bit here and there in between, but it becomes a very long story. Sometimes, yeah, it does change from now we got 2 verse going here instead of 4, and then we got 4 here. Vengeance to hate, committed, promised. That's pretty easy. These I thought went in, but I had to remove them. I can't remember why I put them in such a dark text color. Um, I have Yah. I got his name there for them, but they're actually for Yah. Notice they're talking about a disaster, but our Creator has got to start talking about the war that's coming from. They're going to come. They're coming with spear or with swords and bowmen, their chariots, their horsemen. So it has to be a war that's being talked about here, not just bring a disaster. Men to mankind. It just fits that word. Um, Not in all caps. I can't remember that note. That's only been in the last month. So, oh, this word in the text was not representing it all as what they said. They symbolize all the words Lord as all capitals in the Bible, and here it wasn't. Just a flaw that they had, or just a error that they, a mistake they made. This seems to be all of a sudden Jeremiah's words that he's got as a conversation after when he's said something or going through with people. So it's kind of like his sum of what happened there and what was on his mind. It's really good insight when you see it cleaned up. And I don't know. Okay, I think I got 4 verse. Yeah, I got 4 verse. Took me a while to why is 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can see how much it did take to be for it. It actually gets to be a format. But this, like I said, if you're going to go through all the old text that I'm not doing, a lot of this is what you're going to end up having to do to actually get something correct out of it. But it's not really needed when you see the complete story of what's going on. So just you're going to have to trust me in the end. Don't need it. You can have it for a conversation, but don't add it to the text. Like I said, you don't understand the fullness of the text here. I had to add this to keep with the 4 verse because 4 verse here, 4 verse up there. I thought, okay, let me see if I can smooth it and I can make it into a 4 verse. And it was. So It's almost, well, this could have all been broken down. It could have been used, but it's not, it doesn't actually go through with the text that does pop up here, because I'm pretty sure these words here connect at the top. What's happened here? Okay. Too much of an angle. It flipped upside down on me. I have a tablet here that I use to change scenes and things. And sometimes I forget I'm relaxing here a little bit. So I look down and it's not in the correct order here. Okay, and because there's a 3 verse down, I'm getting rid of this, but I have to find the beginning to this, or create a beginning, because it just can't start with one verse. But this was just that it's 3 verses down here, and you can see it goes quite a way. I'm not seeing here big changes as far as, like the Euphrates is changed to a river. You got to understand that's 500 miles north. That wouldn't be where he needs to go to hide it. So that's just strange that when people don't put the things together and understand the distances, he would never went outside Israel and hide it in the Euphrates River. No. Boy, they like that word Euphrates. That's, anyways, take, to remove. It's, yeah, this word I guess I should explain. A waist rope. It's a belt, but the object is at that time they call it a waist rope. So we have different words for different meaning, but I just wanted to let you know that the text is going to have waist rope, not a waistband. They were to wear a sheep hide or goat hide clothes, and it was a rope that went around their waist. Worthless, useless, and then show them the waist rope. And that's more, this text is more reading as our Creator is telling him a prophecy. It's not like every word is to be said. So you can get the understanding of what a prophecy is really like when you read these over and over. That would, some of this text, like I say, will have regular words in it and not our Creator's words in it. And then he goes and tells them what happened. For renowned praise and glory. Nope. Yeah, some of this, when you read these aren't um, important at all. You should start recognizing them, like I said, at some point, pieces of other places in the text, and they're just trying to reassemble words. Because this is a 4 verse, I needed to get rid of this verse. I remember I had to fit that. I was wondering how come going back and forth till I went down quite a ways to realize that it was a 4 verse. I tried making it a 2 verse, tried making it a 3 verse, and 4 verses when it ended up being. That was a lot of work to get through that area right here. Um, the desert wind, but it's desert windstorm. It's a sandstorm, is what they're talking about here. Um, drifting of straw. Um, well, it's not like a dust storm here. It's more or less like there's wind, but it's faster wind than normal. So it's why I wanted to relate that with the word storm. Um, because somewhere they have to start covering up and changing to get, because when it's like this, yes, um, you have to start protecting yourself. Okay, now I told you a video or probably 2 videos ago about the drought, and here it is again. So when I said the word ascended, it has to be there's no water. In the morning they will cry out, Jerusalem has not ascended, that's there without water, but here Jerusalem has ascended. Now it's that's what they need for their goddess or their god, but has to be changed to no water because it is talking about, like down here when it says cisterns, those are wells, but you have to understand this land had a lot of springs for thousands of years. When you look at the plateau and the up here and then down here, all this rainfall over the years has to go through and then has to go out to the sea, and that's how it does. There's an aquifer under Israel, and what happened at this time, history is telling us through these prophecies that there's springs that were all over the place were drying up. Okay, so if there's something that um, in the text that changed and didn't go back to the way it was, or it was springs all over the place. Um, Now they had to go find for their water and plan for their water. Um, this is definitely the drought. A lot of now the drought is there. Like you said, it was coming, and now it's happened. So um, even though that might have been in uh, chapter 5, we're probably on 8 now, somewhere in there. Let's see. Yeah, we're in 14 now. Yeah, there was a lot of things that were just going on. Humiliated means to be brought low. So I just seen that, but um, I'm awfully comfortable today. I'm leaning way back here in the chair. Uh, I'm putting in Yah's our Savior because this is the way they knew him at that time, is what they're talking about. And I'm thinking this is the text that he's talking about to you in the future at the time. This has words kind of tied to it, but it's not the right format. So, but you can see that this could have been used someplace else. I couldn't find any place else for it. Then we got 2 verses out here straggling along. I think those got removed. Um, Not pray, it's ask me. Um, okay, now why do I have this bar over here? and I've got this all downsized. So, okay, this was a format. I kept it and I took it forward, and then that piece really doesn't go anywhere, even though there was it's talking about the famine that lasted. But there's other words that were replacing this and better used. So that's why I'm not using these, even though I tried. They weren't there. So here by sword and famine, that's how he's going to kill them. Um, so because first of all, the drought brought down the food supply, and then when they gathered into the cities and they were under siege, it only took 4 months before the people were starving and dying on the inside because of the famine and swords that are coming here. Yeah, he's relating to them. Yes, I remember this. This is his words relating. He's telling them what's going to happen. You don't believe the last prophecy? I said, well, I've told you this, I've told you this, and this is when this is all going to happen. So, yeah, I'm not seeing any big changes of words to really. Um, I've said it all over and over again. So, okay, now these, um, the famine had to happen first and then the sword. So I had to put it in like the correct order. So it was sword, famine, and then captivity. And it's actually famine, sword, and then into captivity. So this had to be rearranged once you understand the story. In fact, I think I had to come back and look at that when I found it later that it wasn't done right. It wasn't staying with the words that were there. And this is the last king because of Manasseh, seeing son from his. Now, this guy was actually a good guy. And then this one of his son is just the one that started meditating and had that practice. And I got 4 here. This probably had to be of to begin with. It should have been like that. King of Judah, king of for Judah. Because the king is actually, it's under their understanding, their way of life. The king was always doing to represent everybody should be like him, but he's the king for Judah, so he's supposed to be their living example of obeying our Creator. Bereaved, I use the word remove them. Don't need these words. Sometimes there's just too many words to get in the format. As you see, this is um, I guess not like Ezra, where Ezra was a different format together. And under this type of thing, there's no really rules. I'm trying to um, just keep to the understanding. Um, the evidence I have is if you do Daniel, you'll see that they always had a format. So it wasn't just random sentences like this. So what I'm trying to do is look for some kind of grouping of verses that make up a paragraph. Um, This is a unique little verse here. It's kind of like what was the strongest material at that time was iron. And then somebody had to sneak in, like, edit later, or bronze. I think that's so neat that you can see editing going on top of editing. And here's his words to our Creator. So I'm not sure if this starts out as him a prayer or not, but I know there's one in there. I just don't know if this is that text. Your hand is still upon me, and you did fill me with indignation. Now that is just not the correct way to word that. So you did fill me with your words, and then this is what he's saying. That's why he wasn't exalted and sat in the circle of merrymakers. So this word in indignation is just completely a wrong word. It's- let's see here. Oh, he wouldn't use the word carcasses, but bodies, yes. So, whoa, I've gone too long here. So this is going to be the end. I'm going to start with this right here because this, um, he's already got the birds and the bees coming. So this is just redundant. Sorry it took so long. I got carried away, but this is the end of this one.